Chapter 8 of Mystery at Number 6. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Mystery at Number 6 by Augusta Huell Seaman. Chapter 8. Charred Pages. Bernice looked at it with curiosity and awe. Never before had she been so close to a mystery. With fingers that shook a little from excitement, she unfolded the wrappings and brought to light a few dirty and discoloured pages, looking as though they had been torn from a fair-sized notebook. They were blackened and charred with fire all around their edges, and so far in that often words were indistinguishable. And they were covered with fine and precise handwriting, still legible where the fire had not interfered. Bernice was eager to examine them closer, but the wind, caused by the speed of the car, blew them about and made the task almost impossible. Furthermore, Sydney warned them that it was about time to land Delight near her home. "I am going to beg a great favour," said Bernice, taking a sudden determination. "Will you allow us, Delight, to take these papers home with us and examine them at our leisure tonight? Perhaps we may be able to make something out of them that even you have not made. We will keep them just as safely as you would, and will return them to you tomorrow." "You promise that you won't show them to anyone?" questioned the girl in hesitation. "I feel that somehow I ought not to share this secret with anyone, but I trust you so much." "You can depend upon it, Delight," Bernice assured her. "I have never broken a promise yet." "Then take them," and Delight thrust them into her hands again. "If you'll meet me tomorrow afternoon near the largest palmetto clump across the pool from the house, I'll be there." As they neared the opening to the trail that led to the pool, Delight asked them to let her out there so that she might walk the rest of the way. "I'd feel safer that way," she said, and added, "Oh, there is one thing more I forgot to tell you, Bernice. The word on the cover of the book. I could not keep the cover. It was too big and hard. I was afraid it would be found out, but I remembered the word. It was JOURNAL. I am not very sure I know what it means, but good bye. I mustn't stay another minute," and she hurried down the trail. "Drive home like the wind, Sid," commanded Bernice when she was out of sight. "I've so much to tell you that I'm just about bursting, and I can't do it till we can be quiet somewhere." When they got to the hotel, Sydney suggested going on to his bungalow for the proposed colloquy, but Bernice voted against it. She knew that her mother was visiting his mother that day and that they would have difficulty finding a place where they could be undisturbed. Then Sydney suggested a live oak grove half a mile down the road, but Bernice voted that down also. "It will be hot there," she decided, "and there's no comfortable place to sit. Let's just get rocking chairs and go in the east corner of the hotel veranda. It's nice and shady there, and a good breeze and absolutely no one about at this time of day." And so they did. Before examining the papers, Bernice retailed to her cousin every word she could remember of the long account Delight had given her of her past history. Sydney listened with absorbed attention, but without interruption till she was through. "My word, but that's some earful!" he exclaimed slangily, but in deadly earnest nevertheless. "Hand over those papers, quick! I want to see what we can make of 'em. Guess you were right, old girl. There sure is some mystery here." Again Bernice undid the packet of charred papers. She said the book cover that she destroyed had the word journal on it, so it's not difficult to guess what these must be, she commented, before they proceeded to examine them critically. Then with bated breath they gave themselves to the study of the charred pages. After a long interval Bernice looked up, an expression of blank dismay in her grey eyes. "But, Sid, what does this all mean? I can't make head or tail out of it. Look here, for instance. It reads, 'Air roots of ficus aura become fused together when remain pressed in contact. Cases of natural inarching, very unusual. Coccolobis florienda in abundance on this hammock. Ground in this region probably lifted after great Pleistocene subsidence. The Bursera and some of the Eugenias are second migrants.' I just can't make anything out of it at all." "I know," agreed her cousin. "It is pretty confusing. But I'm beginning to think I see daylight. Somebody has evidently been making notes. Naturalists or geologists or botanists' notes about something, somewhere. Probably in the Glades, by the look of it. I don't wonder the poor kid was rather mixed up by all this. Naturally she couldn't understand a word of it, just like so much Greek to anyone who hasn't studied that sort of thing." "But do you suppose it's all just this?" cried Bernice disgustedly. "What's the use of wading through it? There are quite a number of pages." "You can't tell about that. If it were a journal perhaps there might be some other entries, more personal ones. And if that's the case we can't afford to miss them. They might explain something, you know." "Well, let's look 'em all through then," sighed Bernice resignedly. "We can skip lightly over the scientific parts. Here, you take that bunch and I'll go over this one. If we don't come across something in that way, I give it up." They settled down to quiet and silent study of the closely written and now all but illegible notes. Suddenly Bernice sat up with a start. "Look here! See what I came across? Right in with a lot of incomprehensible stuff. Found the child Delight with a perfect specimen of the Cryptopodium punctatum, a native epiphytal orchid, in her tiny hand this morning. She must have picked it off the bark of tree under which she was sitting, attracted by the colours, no doubt. Cried when I took it away." "The child Delight! There can't be any mistake about that," cried Sydney. "But who can the person be that's writing, and what relation to her, if any?" "Doesn't sound like any near relation, I must say. But you're not the only person that has discovered something. Listen to this. The inutility of all this grows upon me. I have no longer any desire to live. When it's all over with me, what's to be done about her? But she shall not go back. 1,000 times no. There's a whole bookful in that little item, if we only had the key to it," commented Sydney wisely. "Somebody's tired of playing the game, and the little kid is going to be the sufferer. I'm quite convinced now that there's been something queer somehow." In growing excitement they continued to scan the scraps of paper, sure that every other word or line would bring further enlightenment. But they were doomed to disappointment, except for one further little personal item. There was not another clue to anything in all the maze of incomprehensible Latin, botanical, and geological allusions. This item arrested the eye of Bernice, just as she was about to throw down the remainder of her papers in despair. "I have paid Jerry generously for what he is to do. He did not wish it so. But the future is the future and must be provided for. It is the wisest solution. The child must be kept from want at least, but she must never know what I have known." "That's the most enlightening thing yet," she declared, when she